Yeah.
now, but,
No, it's gonna
okay.
be, yeah, same steps.
Okay.
So you guys were doing, let me run through it before you record so I don't like mess you up here, okay?
Mhm.
So 3D, 4D, I saw you were doing all this correctly, like how you
Yeah,
wanted
I
it.
got
so
that.
Got that part. So then we're gonna start it. You guys probably mess with like the quality, the
Yeah.
IQ and all
Yeah,
that.
we
So
did that.
now it comes to your spot where you're gonna say, this is the VCI OmniView. What we want, what I showed you guys is the sectional is how we did it. So that yellow dot, and I'm gonna do a quad screen so I see all my views here. So yellow dot, the Z technique is what this is, so you're gonna use your Z button. So we're gonna line all that up. This is gonna let us go through, if we're not quite midline, we can use that. Then we're gonna go to reference image B, line that up there how we want it. And you
Mhm.
see your kernel kind of coming up
Mhm.
here. So now I'm gonna go to C. I'm gonna switch it all around there to where it's right, make sure I'm where I wanna be. That's when you can go to your render, and it's gonna be your looking at your 3D. You want your 3D image, but you want the render line to go off of reference image A. So that's where that green line comes in, and you're going to make it taller or wider than tall, and then you want your green line through the endometrium.
Okay.
And then when I need to switch that, it's how it's on here, so we want it at 90 is what we want.
So do we always render with the sectional, or can you just do the sectional?
So sectional to me, when we talked about that one day, you're still doing a little bit of manipulation, so let's go back out and let me do another clip. You're still gonna have to like manipulate some if you just go straight to render, so let's do 3D, 4D.
So you can do render without sectional,
Yep,
but
but you
when
just
you
have,
do sectional, do you have to render?
that gives you that image that Stacy and them were wanting that you're saying you don't get, that they weren't getting before. That's what we came back for. So
that's the 3D, you were right.
yes, so then you can
Okay.
like change that color map, that render map. So you can just do render, but again, you're gonna go off of this, and that throws you off if you're not lined up here, because where that green line is what this 3D image is. So you're still going to have to, you know what I mean, like manipulate it.
yeah.
And so to me, sectional is like the easiest, but everyone can do it, you know, you can do it however you feel like is the
Okay.
easiest for sure. But to me, I feel like you still kind of have to line it up. And I feel like you get a better image, 3D image that way. So I prefer sectional, honestly.
So it's kind of like sectional then render, or you can just render.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So with the sectional, let me do another here. And we'll save a volume so that you guys like have and remember like the B quality depending on what you want, high
Mhm.
to max, whichever. That just has to do with like the speed of the sweep. So we'll start it.
And we typically want the higher B quality, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, for like what you guys are scanning, you want kind of like a lower, slower sweep, so the higher.
Okay.
And then I want that quad screen, so I'm just gonna go through sectional again so you guys can see that
Okay.
part, and I'll let you record, or you if you're recording.
I'm already recording.
Okay, sorry.
No, you're
Talking
good.
through you here.
No,
So
I'm-
this is just gonna be midline. This is parallel shift, remember? So if you're not quite midline, you can use that parallel shift.
Mhm.
And then reference image A, B, C, how it's listed here. So now we're gonna go to B. It should be pretty well lined up, but you might have to kind of go through and see, depending on how the uterus is laid, but you can see on this
Yeah,
image,
because
right?
that's not a 3D image in
Right.
C. Right, that's just, it's
Coronal.
made a coronal image
Mhm.
from our 2D, but it's not actually 3D.
Right,
Okay.
and this is where you guys were, I believe, when Stacy or
Yeah,
Trish
like
was like, it's not.
Yeah, we like
the
thought we were
render."
done at that
Right.
point. Yeah,
She's
okay,
like,
that
"It's
makes
not getting the
sense.
render," and I think that's when the perinatology is like, you guys need, someone to come back to do it, and it was just this next step that we're bringing. So when you hit render, you want to go back to reference image A,
Mhm.
because that's where we want to build this off of. So the north tracheal, you want it wide, and you can, sometimes the endometrium is going to be straight across. Sometimes you're going to notice, it just depends how the endometrium, so you can move your green line however the endometrium is, and then you want to move this to your endometrium. So And it just depends on like what you want to see. The tighter your box, the less you're going to see out. The 3D that you're getting, that rendered image, is going to be under this render setting. So I'm going to go back to through my 3D image, so it's just by itself, that single image 3D, and then you go to your render setting, and that's when you have your different maps.
Okay.
And that's where
That's what-
Trish
yeah.
was like, that's where it's at. So you guys were doing great. You got through your sectional part, but we just didn't get to that render tab. So
Mhm.
that was the only thing. And then I think we were trying to build that render off of, like, we were in this quad screen and it comes up as this, and so you're like, we were trying to put that render line maybe, and it wasn't following. You're like, I don't know what anatomy it's on because we weren't on that A image. So wherever that green line is where it's gonna come up. So,
Got you.
but yeah, this is the image that we talked about how they were wanting, was just like this image. And again, you can still parallel shift through there if you're not exactly midline. This is when you can do your XYZ if you want to try to bring in, you know, fundus to cervix or right to left, trying to bring in a little bit more. You
Okay.
can do all that. So, and then you know, there's different maps. I think this is the one where most of the people kind of prefer it. But let's walk through with her. If you feel like if you want